Okay, right, part 2. We've got the planning done, we've thought about things, I've got measurements done, and the first thing we're going to do in this video is make all those raised platforms. I want those done first before I make the ruined buildings. The ruined buildings can be the fun bit. This can be not interesting but quite laborious. It's just raised platforms. There's not a lot to it, but it's going to be quite important, so let's get on with it. This is going to be the first video we're actually going to build something. Now, looking at the plan, I'm going to start building the plinths, and for the purpose of this video I'm going to build the plinth from the top corner here. So there's 2 of them. I've already built one and they're both the same, so I know what I'm doing, sort of, maybe, who knows. But yeah, this one's going to be big enough to show you what's what, but not big enough to so you don't lose anything. And so we're going to begin with, you can see on the diagram here, my little design, I decided to clad it in Hearst art blocks. Now you could, of course, use these blocks and just build up a wall, like so, but that's going to take a lot of plaster. And what Hearst arts do is they've got a mould where you cast it up and it just comes out like this. So it's a wall of blocks and it's quite thin, and then you just flip them together so you have more than one, and you just kind of sort of put them in together like so. So we're going to use that, which is great, but these will need something to glue onto, so we're going to make an inner shell, which is what this foam is here for, that these will glue onto. Now these are 16 inches by 6 inches, and these are about 1/4 of an inch thick. And then also you can see on the outside we're going to put some arches made from foam, and the foam I'm going to use for that is 1/4 of an inch thick again. So when it's clad, it's going to be 1/2 inch. It's going to be 1/2 inch here, and that's going to go all the way around. So we need to make the inner box an inch smaller. So because of that, it's going to be cut to 15 inches. You're going to need 2 that are 15 inches, and this is made out of 10mm foam. So this is where it gets tricky. I need this to be 5 inches. So these bits here, when put together like so, that needs to be 5 inches across here, like so. So this is actually just under 4¼ inches. It's easier in this case to measure this in millimeters. You can see it's like 16mm. So you cut those, excuse me, and they're 2.5 inches high. So all we're going to do is glue these in place. You can see I haven't done a really good job of cutting that. It's a bit wonky, but we're going to put some glue down here, which it helps if I picked up the full glue, which I haven't. I picked up the one that's almost empty. I'll probably end up doing this off camera, but put some glue down here, glue it in place, and we're going to use pins just to hold it in place, and a set square to make sure it's level. And that's going to be the first stage. This is almost no different to if you watch any of the building guides we've done on the channel. So it's just going to be like that. So we're going to glue that and pin it like so, and leave that to dry. You want to let that dry probably overnight. It's best to its head, and then we're going to come back and clad it in the Hearst art mould blocks. Our inner frame is now built. It's now time to clad it in the blocks. Now, one thing you might notice is this is 2.5 inches high, and these are 3.5 inches high. So when you put them on, they're going to be an inch over. Now, because Hearst art blocks are 1/2 inch high, this is really easy to remedy. What you want to do is I'm going to have to do it using this, but get some sort of hard edge surface. Put it so just 2 of the rows are hanging off, and just hold it gently here and apply a bit of pressure, and you get the correct height of what you need. So we can then glue that in. So I'm going to do that for the others, and then we're just going to start gluing them on. We've clad the inner box in stone. Now what we've got to do is clad the outside in the arches. This is just going to be made from pieces of 6mm thick foam. We're going to have 2 bits on the end here, will be 6 inches, and then 2 bits along this side, which will be 15.5. But before we can stick it on, we've got to cut I want to cut the arches out of it. Now, going back to the planning video, this is where it all comes into action. I spent time just working out, field focusing, working out the distance I need to come in from it for each different wall piece I'm cutting out. So some are like 1/2 inch coming in, some are 3/4 of an inch. So the 6-inch pieces I've got to come in 3/4 of an inch, and for the 16-inch pieces I've got to come in 1/2 inch, I believe I worked out, because even though it says 3/4 of an inch on the diagram, you've got to allow for 1/4 of an inch that comes from the way we're making it, comes from the width here, which is going at the end. So basically I just got to measure both of them. We'll do it on the small one, measure this one. So we're going to start doing the arches, so I'll clear this away and we can start making the arches. To mark out the arches, we're going to come in 3/4 of an inch here, 3/4 of an inch on this side, and what we're going to do, don't worry about the pencil or pen scoring the marking the foam, because we're going to turn it over when we do it on, and we're just going to measure down the line here, mark a line there, and then we're going to measure 2 inches from this side, 2 inches from this side, giving us a little 1/2 inch bit column in the middle, like so. Now what we're going to want to do is have an archway here. I've already sort of did some design work again, pre-designed this before, again I did it on paper, so I knew that, you know, you could get something like this and just draw around it so you got this whole massive arch. I'm going to use a compass, and again you could make it an inch and just do a line so you got this really big arch, but I'm not going to do that. I've worked out that I want more of a shallow arch, so mine's going to be on the compass, just going to make it 1.25 inches wide. So that's going to be 1.25 inches. Now to position it, I need to come up 1 inch from the bottom, so I'm just going to put a line roughly there, and we're going to put on this line, we're going to put a little line here 1 inch across, and where the lines intersect, where I'm going to put my compass. So now I'll put my compass in the cross here and just draw around like that. You can do the same here, and then we're going to cut out these bits. Now what you could do, you could either mark out the door, the archway on, you know, by hand like this, or you can carefully cut this out and use this as a template and just measure 1/2 inch space and draw along, which is probably what I'll do. So now it's time to cut these out. Now I'm going to be using my hot wire cutter for this, but if you don't have one, you can cut it by knife if you're careful. So I'm going to do that now. Okay, so we're just going to cut them out. It's just a case of coming in by hand. This hot wire cutter is one of the best things I've bought for terrain making. I don't know how I've done without it for so long. I got it on eBay from a seller called Flying John. Really cool guy. custom makes them. So there you go. Just going to cut that out, and if you do it carefully enough, as I say, you can use this as a template to position on all the others and just draw around it. As I've got this one already marked out, I'm going to cut this out, and then I'm going to cut out all the others, which we will not be doing on camera. Here we go, just cut this out. Put this to one side. Got a little more work to do before we glue it on, but I'll do the others and come back. Yeah, I'll cut them all out. So what I'm going to do now is, because we've got all pencil marks here, this will be the side that will get glued to the wall. I'll flip it over, and I'm going to use this. This is it's my wife's cake making tool, but I'm going to do some scoring in. Now I got this idea from Luke APS because he got a tool from Green Stuff World, like a sculpting tool, which had a rounded tip. Because normally I've used a ballpoint pen just to score in, but that does tear the foam ever so slightly, which does lead to some bit nasty artifacts on the finish. Whereas this is a bit like the sculpting tool. It's looks pointed, but it's actually a rounded edge. So I'm going to use this just to score. You can do whatever you want here, just to score a pattern. I'm just going to do a little round the arch like so. Again, if you don't have one of these, you can still use the ballpoint pen. It will give you the same sort of finish. It just may not look as smooth as this. So here we go, and there I am. I'm just going to go around the other direction now, just to get a nice even finish. I don't know if this will come out on camera, but it's just a little indentation around the arch, just to give it a bit of detail. Of course, got to do the same on all the other pieces, so I'll do that, and then we're going to glue this onto the wall. With all cut out and the design put on, it's now just a simple case of gluing them on. Because the end bits overlap these bits, it's best to glue these on first. So it's just a case of PVA glue along here. Stick these two longer bits on first, and then we'll stick the short bits on. So I'm going to do the glue in now. So it's been glued on, you can see here. Hopefully I can lift it and just show you. There we go. So we're going to let this dry. In the meantime, we can work on the top. Now that's just made from another bit of foam, 6 inches, 6 mil thick. 6 inches thick would be a bit. That would be a solid floor. Yeah, so it's out of focus. Brilliant. Nice one, camera. Anyway, I'll pretend it's artistic. You've only got to focus in on that, camera. Anyway, so a bit of foam, 6 mil thick, like so, and it's going to be 16 inches by 6 inches wide, and you're just going to cut that out. But before we glue it on, we're going to do a flagstone pattern. I think you know where I'm going to go with this. It's going to be an inch wide. We're going to mark out an inch along here, and then mark it out using the tool. So I won't show that on camera because there's not a lot to it. You're just going to have an out of focus camera, which is lovely. There we go. Let me just... Yeah, okay. So, now come along. Mark an inch here, an inch there. Get your rule, line it up, and then with the sculpting tool, just come along both directions, and you're just going to do that all the way along here and that way as well. Flagstone's done, but still not totally finished yet, 'cause on the edges what you want to do is just score down, just so it looks like they are flagstones and not a pattern done in foam. So I'll carry on with that, and then we're just going to glue it on. It's now time just to glue it on. We're just going to grab some glue, put some on the inner and the outer casing. Like so, and we're just going to then stick it on. And what you're going to want to do really is put something on top with a little weight just to hold it in place. And sometimes your starts molds may be jutting up a bit here, like here there's a bit jutting up. You can get away with that by just putting a bit of pressure on, and it will just push itself into the foam, which in itself is a good thing because it means it's a bit more stable in that section. So there we go, just got that. I'll go here, and yeah, just going to put it on, line it up, push it on, like so. There we go, and just push down. So here, where it was sticking up, I'm just going to push it into the foam a bit, and in other places, and that's it. All lovely and gloriously out of focus. My camera is playing up today. It might be the lighting for some reason, but anyway, camera woes. Yeah, so then, I don't know, whatever you got at hand, even my phone. I'm going to let that dry for a bit. Let's see a bit of glue here. Just want to run your finger on, get rid of the glue. Leave that to dry. We've got it glued on place. And what I forgot to mention before I talk about gluing in place is just getting a stone before you glue it on, and just can do it after, but it's easier when it's glued on. Just rub it over to give it a bit of texture. And if you want to give it some extra sort of wear and tear, using a sculpting tool of some kind, just come in and sort of add some cracks and some, hope you can see those coming up here. Always a good spot where it's really nice and focus it, something like this. You just come in, just draw some cracks and just add some extra damage. Now I'm going to paint it black, which we'll discuss now because we need to sort of make up a black undercoat. So I'm going to make the undercoat, but I want to seal the blocks and the foam. So we're going to use Mod Podge. There's something I've got from Black Magic Craft, I believe. It does sort of D&D terrain. Just going to add that in, add some of that. Some black paint. We are going to make it slightly different because we're using some quite porous materials. Let's get some black paint in there. And some water. Because it's porous, you want this quite liquidy. The Herstart plasters, because they suck all this up, and the foam does a quite good job as well. You want it ring. So something like that. Just going to use that to undercoat it, and then we're going to paint it various shades of grey, so which I'll crack on with now. So now undercoated in black, we're just going to go over it into, it's going to sort of do a heavy dry brush with this grey, sort of like a Dawnstone grey. And once this is done, we're going to dry brush it again, but this time lighter, with a different shade of grey, a lighter shade of grey. It can be anyone you like. This is from a shade called Storm Cloud, and you just let, once it's done, you put it to one side and it's painted. So now it's all painted, looking really good. I'm really liking the look of it. Some of the moulds have interesting detail bits, like these wall sconces for fire and these kind of busts. So what you can do, if you have any moulds with these sort of detail bits on, you can actually detail it a bit more, just to make it, take it to the next level kind of thing. It's all about those little details, I find, this build. So all I'm going to do is just put these, glue these on in places. So I'm going to put a bust there, a sconce probably here, oh you can't see on that screen, here, and then one mirroring just off camera here, and just as a final dry brush, I did it in this colour, which is called Ivory Tusk, which is like a, it's called Wasabi Bone, I guess, just to make certain bits pop, like the face there and bricks there, just to make things stand out a bit. And that is these painted. Just a quick final painting detail I just thought of. Got these braziers here that we've put on. Now at one time these would have been lit and used when it was a town, so I'd have thought this would have been darkened with soot. So we're just gonna black paint. We're just gonna sort of dry brush some soot, some darkness on these bits here. It's where over the years when they were used, it would have just darkened it, just that. And that's it. Now we're done. We got bigger pieces made. As you can see, this one barely fits into the camera in the camera shot that I've got. But what you're going to want to do on the bigger pieces is underneath, just add in some support stands like this, just to stop, you know, just to give extra support underneath. Otherwise, it'll bow and bend a bit. So that's just bits that are cut the same height and just added in. I don't think, can't really get it all in, but there you go. That's the sort of thing we're talking about, just on your bigger bits. And these are all made in pretty much the same way. Got this bit here. If I reach behind me, so you got bits like this that have that bit taken out, and they're made in exactly the same way. And again, with the structure underneath, just to add extra support. And that is all the base is made now. We now just got to do the other bits and pieces. Next up, we're going to make the stairs. These are made out of the Herstart stair blocks, or if you don't have access to that mould, you can get some foam that's an inch wide and about inch long, ½ inch wide, and just make up, glue them together so they form the stair pieces like so. But we're going to use the Herstart blocks. Now the mould itself that I'm using comes with, it makes a big one and a little sort of half section every time you cast it. So what you can do is cast two, like so, cast it twice, and then you can glue these together like that, and it actually gives you 3 stair pieces. If you keep going on like that, you get plenty of stair moulds. I'm using 2 big ones here that I've got. You also need a little piece like this, a piece like that, because what we're going to do halfway up the stairs, we're going to break it so it has a long flat piece like so, so a model can go up halfway, and this piece here forms the bottom step. Next up, you'll need a bit of foam that is, let's show you here, 2 3/4 high by 1 1/4 wide. It's going to form the back of the stairs. And then you'll also need a foam that is 2 3/4 tall and 3 3/4 wide. I've already cut this, but I'll show you how I got to this shape. All you're going to effectively do is put your stairs sort of in place of where you'd want them, like so. Doing it quite quick now. I've got that there, and then you'd come along and just draw a line that's slightly bigger than the actual stairs themselves, and then you'd tidy it up with a ruler and then cut it out like so. And then on one side you're just going to do a little pattern here, so it's just, I'll show you on this side, it's just a line that sort of runs down just to add a bit of detail, so it's not perfectly flat. We're going to come along and just put some lines like so in, and then match them up on both sides. That's what I'm doing here. And then we'll match them up like so. So we've got a bit of detail work on it. All that's left to do is just glue the stairs in place, which I shall do off camera, but for now I can sort of show you what I mean. Is once quickly put them in place, so that'll be glued, and then the back just gets glued in here And what you can do for a bit of an extra support is out of some 10mm thick foam, cut a sort of bit that's an inch wide and as tall as it is to reach the bottom here if it sits underneath, and this will form this bit here. Just add a bit of extra support, but you don't have to if you don't want to. It should be sturdy enough as it is. So I'm going to put this together and glue it together, and that is our stairs made. So we're going to make a grander staircase, I thought, to lead up to the inn. I imagine the inn's quite a central focal point for this part of the town, so the stairs are going to be quite grand. So it's going to be made in pretty much the same way as the previous stair pieces, except for it's going to be 3 sections wide. I think the easiest way is to start with 3 step pieces and just glue those together like in that configuration. When they're dry, glue these steps in and glue the other bits in, I should imagine, but as a starting point we're going to glue all these together. I think glue the steps together, glue these in place like so, and then just make the side piece in exactly the same manner as we've done before. So I shall get on with that now, and I think that's almost this section of the video done. Once you've made these, make the, oh yes, that's what we can make. We can make, there's 2 crossings, isn't there? There's 2, looking at the plan, we've got 2 wooden sort of walkways, so we're going to make those next. So what we're going to do now is make, still got to put the beams on here, but we're going to make a platform like this. So to begin with, you're going to need a bit of card that's 4 inches, bit of foam, it's 4 inches long, 2 inches wide, plus the width of whatever foam you're using for the strips here. I'm using 10mm foam, so it's going to be 20mm foam on top of it. Then you will need 2 bits of foam, 10mm thick, that are 6 inches long, and then you're just going to angle the corners off at the end like so on both pieces. They'll sit there. Then you'll need some little bits of foam that are roughly an inch high, and these are going to be the posts that go along the middle. And what you're going to need to do is angle piece like so it fits like so, and the way to do this is just to cut any old angle off that you want. Let's start again. I'll show you, because what I'm going to do is you just put it, the way I've done it is I just put it here, so then it continues this angle, and then quickly just mark off align the line here, and then give that a cut like so. So then that will continue that, and then put the little bit here like so where it's going to go, and then just mark it off again like so. Let's try that again. That's going to go there. Let's cut that off. And then that's it. You can use that now as a template to cut the others off, which I shall do in a minute. And then we're just going to glue them all together. So what I'll do is I'll make the other 4, because you need 2 for each side, and I'll come back. So I've got all the bits cut out, and this is how they're going to go when they're all glued together. Next, you're going to want to get a strip of balsa wood that's 2 inches wide and 4 inches long, and then going down with the grain, I've just ingrained a little plank platform in. And what we're going to do now is just get some glue, splash it all over this. All this is really, this piece here is just to hold it all together and strengthen it. So this will just sit between the 2 of the platform pieces. And what we're going to do is just put these in place here. Put this in place here roughly. They should have an inch overhang. Bung this in like so. Yeah, that looks good. And then come in with some glue here in the middle. Now, the reason I'm sort of making this quite rough is because this wouldn't have been built, in my thinking is this wouldn't have been built with the town. This isn't a later add-on that's just been ramshackled, put together just so to make getting across platforms easier. So it's just made not with any real skill, or maybe they didn't have the tooling, correct tools, so I want it to look really rustic. And we're just going to move these bits in. Like so. What we're going to want to do is leave, before we glue the rails in, leave this to dry, because these will move around like no one's business. So what I'll do is I'll carry on and then prepare the rails which we can work on with this bit that I made earlier. Okay, so I've got the bits measured out and cut out. It's just a case of blobs of glue here, here, here and here, and just putting them in place. These are just coffee stirrer pieces. I might want to go a bit lower on that one actually. Let me go about there, I think. About halfway. Actually, I want to raise that. That's where I want it. Like that. So we've got a railing. Like so. And that's it. So the walkway's been painted. I used a burnt umber brown, so it's a dark brown. Then it was dry brushed with a colour called Coastline, which is like Carrickstone type colour. So that gives it its this worn woodwork colour. So it's almost a grey ground. We're going to add some on the edges here and here, and little patches in here and here. We're going to add some sort of mould. Now, where if you look at wood that's been outside, it goes a bit green. So for this, I'm using camo green. So I don't know what this is in new GW colours. I forget what it is. I'm sure someone will be able to find it. But it's like this really light green. And the nice thing about this pot is, where I've had it so long, it's kind of almost like a dry paint now. So we're going to just dry brush it. So get a bit on, and we're just going to add it in here. It's very dry, I don't need to put patches on, not a lot. Put patches in there. And if you can see that, just get that sort of lovely mossy mouldy green, and just do random patches elsewhere, perhaps where the wood would where the water would pool on the wood. So, you know, with sort of rain would come down, it's going to pool on these bits here and here, and yeah, just going to carry on doing that, and you'd end up with looking like that kind of thing. So you got this nice subtle green, mouldy green going on there, and that is it done. Yeah, and I think that is this project done. The only thing I would say, and nothing I've done, is I've had these statues for years and years and years. I'm going to use these on the big main steps. These were for an Mordheim board. They still can be used for that. I can't remember where I got them or what, but they're just ruined Griffin statues. So if you see anything with Griffin statues, and these are the stairs, the big stairs I was talking we made, and they're just going to sort of sit there to give it some real nice, just extra little bit of detail for the board. And that is it. Now again, normally at this stage we'd do a showcase at the end of the video, but I don't want to show it off until it's all complete. So after this we're going to actually make the buildings But yeah, that's the end of this video. Yeah, next video we'll be making the ruined houses, and I think the third one after that is the fourth video is going to be the actual adding that extra touch, that final touch, the detail, the scatter bits and pieces that will bring the board to life. So until then, guys, take care. Thanks for watching, we hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button and leave a comment. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Stick with the channel for many great videos to come.